Blessings, good evening. We have some Dhamma questions have come in tonight, so do our best to answer. So the first question, according to the Buddha, do all thoughts we have coming up, are they random or from causes? Well, the simple answer I'd say is yes, they're all from causes. They're not random. Thoughts come into the sankhara khandha of the human being. We divide into 5 khandhas or groups or heaps of experience. There's the physical body, rupa khandha, that's one heap made up of the 4 elements. And then the other 4 khandhas are mental khandhas, the mental activity that we experience all the time. So that's feeling, the tone of the experience, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. Sanya, perception. Sankhara, so it's mental formations. And vijnana, sense consciousness. So these 5 khandhas are the product of our past actions, past karma. They're modified, affected, changed by our past actions, and then they're constantly being affected by our current actions too. But say, for example, feeling comes up every moment of the day through sense contact, and that's all past karma giving its result. So pleasant feeling is a result of past good karma. Unpleasant feeling, result of past unpleasant karma or unskillful karma. Thought formations, thoughts that come up, tend to be prompted by sense contact, fed by memories. So perception and memory give us the details, but sense contact is the beginning of, or the trigger, say, for thought. So you have a pleasant feeling arise when you see something that you like, maybe a very subtle pleasant feeling, but it could be a very obvious pleasant feeling, very extreme pleasant feeling. But say you have a pleasant feeling, you see something that attracts you, interests you, then this will trigger thinking, usually. And that thinking, if we're not very mindful and we're not using wise reflection, will tend to be craving. So we think based on the feeling with craving. So that may be desiring, maybe just the decision to look again at that thing that you like. To start thinking about it. I want it, I want to get it, what's good about it, what do I like about it? So thought is prompted. Could be something that's stimulating. So it could be, it could be something very obvious, like just seeing food or clothing or something that you like, or a person that you like. Or it could be something much more subtle, like you have an idea, comes up in your mind, that's one of the sense doors, and with that idea you feel excited, stimulated, so you start thinking about that idea. So thought formations are being triggered by sense contact. But there's both the old karma that's leading up to that sense contact, giving rise to that sense contact and the feelings. And then there's also current circumstances will have an influence as well. And also one thought leads to another, so we have this experience of trains of thought, in this sense of trains of thought just going on and on and on all the time, leading into each other, promoting each other, stimulating each other. And when you practice mindfulness, you notice this straight away, because the trains of thought are fed by ignorance and craving. They are a manifestation of attachment as well, clinging. We give importance to things, so then we start thinking about them, good and bad, what we like, what we don't like, what's interesting, what's boring. We react, we give importance to the different experiences we're having, and then we keep thinking. And they all seem to be joined together, linked together, so there's this sense of continuity. We don't really see any gaps or notice many gaps in our thinking, and if we do have gaps, we look for something to fill in the gap. We don't like the silence of the mind very much. Most people are like that. Maybe until you begin practicing meditation. So the Sankhara Khanda is really where we make fresh karma, thought formations, intentional thought comes up, but it's triggered by other causes and conditions. It's not random, it's not just, it seems like it, doesn't it? It seems like a thought just pops into your head, or a memory pops into your head, but actually there will be triggers and preceding causes and conditions that have led up to that. It's just we're not clear enough, not aware enough. We can't see those preceding causes and conditions. And sometimes it's obvious. Something grabs your attention. It could be just a memory or an internal experience, or it's something external that you see or hear or touch. Some things are very obvious. You know why you're thinking about it because it's important to you. Sometimes it's very subtle, and that's where it might seem like it's just random. Why did I think about that event that happened 20 years ago? Well, maybe there's something prompting that. It's just you haven't seen. Could be your own memory, trains of memory prompting more memory. You can see how memories often trigger further memories. Or it could be, say you smell something that has given you some meaning throughout your life. So you smell that smell again, food or a flower or something, and it will trigger memories which will trigger thoughts about those memories based on them. And it may just seem, why am I thinking about my childhood? But if you follow it back with mindfulness and investigate with some reflection, you might actually see the process of causes and conditions that have led up to that. Of course, we can change our thinking as well. So the Buddha gave lots of teachings, famous teaching on the removal of distracting thoughts. As all meditators know, some thoughts are very distracting. And we have the option, because thought is something it's something you can change, you can let go of, you can change, you can replace with another thought. So a big part of practice is recognizing thoughts, those thoughts that are wholesome and useful, those that are harmful, negative, and abandoning the unwholesome thoughts and cultivating wholesome thoughts. The thought to bring up mindfulness is a very wholesome thought. Once you pay attention with your mindfulness, well, then other thoughts are revealed, and then you can practice accordingly. And some thoughts you want to cultivate and develop. So if you're trying to solve a problem or do something useful, you may think about it, plan something, try to understand something, and you're using thought as a useful tool. And you build on information and knowledge you've accumulated from the past as well. So it's a mixture of past and present karma, past karma giving its results, but then present karma, what you do with those results and which direction you take, what choices you make. So thought is not random, even though it appears it. But whether you're clear enough, aware enough to know the causes leading up to every thought arising, that comes through practice. The subtleties of the mind start to become revealed the more you practice and investigate your own mind. Next question. Ajahn, is there anything one can do to prepare oneself before meditation? Yes, there is. There's a few places the Buddha talked about this. How, say, the external environment supports meditation or helps our meditation. So, if you can, you pick a place that's quiet, secluded. That's not always possible, but you get that as a sort of part of the preparation, is that you pick a place where you can sit or walk meditation without being disturbed by other people too much. Nowadays, that will include all kinds of external things, like if you have a room in your house that you think is a good place to sit meditation, it's quiet, no one will bother you there, well, that's good. But then you also need to prepare other things. Like you might have to tell people who would bother you during your meditation. You say, well, this is my meditation period, please don't. If you have your phone, well, turn your phone off, or at least turn it to silent. Because a phone is obviously very disturbing. Time of day is a very important thing. You, through experience, you might work out when is the best time of day for you. If you're a layperson, you live in a house full of people, there may be certain times of day when the house is quiet. Before I became a monk, I used to live with students for 3 years. And students can be very noisy, particularly at night. So I learned that meditating in the morning is a good time. Peak meditation time was 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. when the house is quietest. I just learned that, so that helped me by picking that time and focusing on that to develop meditation. It didn't mean to say I didn't meditate at other times, but I just knew at other times it would be more challenging. Good health supports meditation, so try to keep in good health as much as you can, as much as is possible. So that includes things like diet. The Buddha pointed out, if you eat certain foods that disagree with you, it makes meditation harder. You feel uncomfortable in your body. If you eat too much, you're digesting your food, so you become sleepy, sluggish. If you eat too little, that may affect you and you're agitated because you're hungry. If you eat too much rich food or the wrong kinds of food that don't agree with you, then it will give you maybe stomach problems or certain reactions in the body. So food affects meditation, especially in the beginning when our mindfulness is not so strong and our understanding and insight is not so well developed. Then these external things like noise, food, health, your external surroundings will have an impact because you're still learning. Maybe somebody's a more skilled meditator, they don't worry too much about certain things like time of day or noise or something. But in the beginning you want to help yourself, so that is why you might take a bit of interest preparing the place you meditate, like literally where you meditate. It might help if you set up a shrine, like a picture of Buddha or teacher or statue. You have your cushion, it becomes your meditation place. That can help as a preparation, because it's the place you get used to going to meditate, sitting there, being there. So already the perception that comes up is this is a place of practicing mindfulness, where I worship or respect the Buddha. Just the perceptions, the associations with a certain place, a certain time can help. So establishing a routine time and place, you might say your own schedule, that can be very helpful. Weather is another one. If the weather is too hot, too cold, it can be a challenge, especially for a new meditator. So try to avoid extreme weather events and disturbing weather to the best of your ability. You can't always control this, but nowadays, everyone has houses and heating and cooling and all these things, so maybe it's easier to manage weather. But if you're a monk and you're living outdoors in the forest, well, maybe you have to put up with the weather more, so you might pick a place where the weather is not too extreme. Like, say, wind is quite difficult to meditate, especially on the breath, say, when there's a strong wind blowing. So if you're in a place that's windy, you might go indoors or pick a place out of the wind, a sheltered place under a tree or in a cave or in a building. So all of these kind of different conditions can have an effect on our meditation, make it harder or easier depending on how we arrange things. But you have to be flexible as well, because you can't expect all conditions to be perfect for you. So you also have to develop a lot of patience, endurance, and learn to set aside concerns about some of these things, rather than always worrying about the temperature, your health, food, sounds, other people, other business. Other business nowadays is a big thing, isn't it? Everyone's got a lot of activities, and so when you meditate, often meditation seems to be competing with other activities, and you sit there thinking, I should be doing this other thing, cleaning or gardening or working or going out to see my friend. Our life is full of activities now, and we like to sort of prioritize and get lists of activities. We're always looking for the next thing to do. So meditation comes into that, and sometimes people find, I don't have time for meditation because I've got all these other things to do, or meditation is adding pressure to my life because it's one more thing I've got to do in a busy life. So try and develop a skillful attitude to that, and you have to get to the point where you're seeing meditation is something that will help you, it's useful for you, it's something you really want to do, and then see where you can fit it into your busy schedule, if you have a busy schedule. And I know many people adjust their day, adjust their life with meditation in mind. So a very common one is people who go to work, but they still want to meditate in the morning, but maybe they have to spend a lot of time traveling, traffic jams and other things they have to encounter. So I know quite a few people who leave for work early, miss the traffic, and then they do a meditation at work. And they just plan their day around that kind of thing. So thinking about the supportive conditions, both in your own physical well-being and body, and then the external environment, can be very useful for helping you, especially in the beginning of meditation, learning what posture helps you, what place is good for you, what time of day is good for you, and so on. Putting some effort into thinking this through may be quite beneficial for you. And having said that, I was talking more from the point of view of if you meditate on your own, but also people, especially beginners, find it quite helpful to meditate with others in meditation centers, monasteries, temples, and so on. Or in just a group in your own house, but with a group of other people, because when you meditate with others, you tend to try harder. Just group pressure, you might say. So there's many things that can be supportive for your meditation. Another question. Hello, Luang Por. Thank you for all the teachings and support. You have helped my practice and life a lot. Recently, I've been looking into my emotions, and I found that from a young age I've blocked a lot of them. I struggle to connect with any emotions now. I've always bottled them up. I'm at a point in my life I want to feel, but I just come across as moody or withdrawn. But I want to be more loving towards my family. But I've been so numb for a long time. I've tried metta for the last few months, but I'm not able to connect with that feeling. Is there any help you can offer, please? Thank you, from the UK. Well, the Buddha always said that the highest quality for the spiritual practice and cultivating this mind to free it from stress and suffering is khanti, which translates as patient endurance. We often just say patience. Being patient with your situation, with your own personal mindset and your physical karma, your mental karma, your life situation. Be very patient, because with patience then you can work towards goals, you can work at things and keep a good attitude as you do that. So maybe you need to just keep working at this metta. That might be something to develop. It's a lifetime's work, I would say. It's more than a few months, so maybe you just haven't done it enough. Don't rush to discard the metta, the loving-kindness meditation. But you can cultivate it on many levels. One is your own metta meditation, developing, opening up this quality of loving-kindness. So when you meditate on it, you have to find that thought and that feeling, that emotion, that positive emotion, you have to find it. You have to develop it, and it may start as something very brief, very small, very weak. So you have to nurture it. So that means you have to keep coming back to that thought, may I be well, and later, may others be well. You have to become very familiar with the feeling of calm, warm, loving feeling that if you have to find that feeling, so you have to imagine it or remember it from past experience, or imagine it, create it. You have to work at it a bit to see what does loving kindness, goodwill feel like for me. So I usually recommend trying to find the feeling in your chest, your heart area. It's obviously a feeling of non-stress, non-tension, non-anger. It's a feeling of goodwill. So it's a good feeling, a positive feeling. Some people say a warm feeling, some people say a peaceful feeling, but it's a feeling that you have to develop. So literally focus in your mind on the chest for periods of time. Whether you're sitting or walking, you can do as well. And then generally reciting something that helps you to stay mindful as you're doing it. So traditionally we say, may I be well, or may all beings be well, may I be free from stress. But you can create the words that suit you. The aim is to bring up that feeling and be mindful of it and keep it in mind, keep returning to it. So in the beginning you may just do this for 10 minutes as an exercise. You do it for yourself first, directing this feeling to yourself, and ideally, as it becomes a little bit more tangible, you're more aware of the feeling, you're spreading it around your whole body. And then the second part of the meditation, you're sending it out to others. And it could be one person at a time or just to the whole group of people. And you work at it. Do it every day. And investigate the very resistance in your mind that says, oh, this isn't working, waste of time, can't do it. The negativity that may come up, the resistance, that's also something you have to investigate. Set it aside. Say, okay, I have those thoughts, I don't feel good doing this, or I'm not yet good at it, but I'm going to keep working at it as a little task, a challenge you've set yourself. But that's on the level of meditation. And then also it's something you introduce more into your daily life. So maybe sit down and think what things make you feel happy, relaxed, bring up a little bit of joy. And I don't just mean sensual indulgence. Yeah, there'll be those things that we pursue, sensual pursuits that bring pleasure. But here I mean more spiritual joy. So it could be events, activities you've done in the past, like helping someone, a family member or a friend. When you've helped someone, you feel good about yourself, you feel good about what you've done, you feel connected to that person, you feel you've done a good thing. Maybe think it through first. Well, when have you experienced some goodwill, helping other people in small ways, just through a few words, or bigger way, maybe some action that you did. Think it through and then see where you may develop that more in your daily life. Developing good habits. Like one very simple practice, people I know have found it hard to develop metta. You set them the task, you've got to do one kind act for another person every day. So it could be on the verbal level, just saying something nice to somebody or friendly. Could be listening to someone else's suffering. They're telling you their problems, you listen. Could be saying something positive, kind to another. Giving advice to another, giving information, sharing information with another person. Or it could be a physical action, so you're doing a favour for someone, giving something, sharing something with somebody. Going out of your way to help someone in some way. Could be just driving your car and letting someone else in front of you in the queue or whatever. Just finding smaller or bigger ways to express the quality of friendliness, loving kindness in daily life. And you've got to do that at least once every day. And you just keep doing it, and obviously you might get better at it and do it more often, because you're looking for those kind of opportunities. And then hopefully if you reflect back, you feel good about that and you just keep developing it more and more. Opening up your own mind, more positive emotions is going to be a subtle, time-consuming process, but I would say it's a very valuable process. It's worth it, even though it may take a long time. Maybe also looking for good activities that help you to relax more, unwind, and often that is involved with doing things with other people, friendly things, helpful things with other people. There may be certain friends that help you to relax and you can spend some time with them. And maybe doing something when you're ready for it, do something in a very determined way, like say go out and volunteer on a regular basis for some useful cause. And at first you may feel awkward or not sure what to do, but if you keep at it, you just have to be patient with those feelings, and you keep at it. After a while maybe you get better at it, and then you don't feel awkward or uncomfortable, you do it and you actually may start to enjoy it. All these things take time. That's why you need the patience, the endurance to endure some of your negative emotions, feelings of tension, or any external challenges, and the patience to keep bringing up the wholesome thoughts, the wholesome positive emotions, and you just keep at it in small ways, in bigger ways. There's no pace that you have to go out. You don't have to go fast and be number one in in metta. You can be number 20 or number 100 or 1,000. It doesn't matter. It's not a competition. You're just going at your own pace, opening up both on the mental level, psychological level, through meditation and developing it as an internal attitude and feeling. Externally, with skillful means, developing some good activities that are expressions of the quality of kindness, compassion in daily life. And you think or look for what might work for you. It can be something very small or bigger. And just keep at it. But you also have to give it thought, what can I do, what might be useful for me, what might work, and then give it a go. Sometimes we take on things that we really don't know anything about, but it brings us to help someone. So you learn a new skill, learn a new language, learn a new skill or a way of behaving that you've never done before. So be it. Sometimes we have to try new things. Last question. How do we stop ourselves straying from the Buddhist path? Don't give up. Maybe sometimes consider what the dangers are when you do stray from the Buddhist path. What is the Buddhist path? Well, generally it's this path we call the Noble Eightfold Path, beginning with right view, and includes right action, right speech, right livelihood, right thought, right effort, right mindfulness, right samadhi. That's the sort of center of the Buddhist path, the Buddhist practice. If you were to stray from all that, what does it mean? It means you're going in a way that's going to cultivate more suffering, because the Buddhist path is for the end of suffering. So ways that increase our suffering, increase our mental defilements rooted in greed, anger and delusion. So ways that are actually pointless or fruitless. So the most common one would be sort of the way of sensual indulgence, complacency, frivolity, triviality, time wasting. More extreme maybe pursuits that are actually physically harmful, mentally harmful to us, to others. And just the fact that time is running out. You set aside the Buddhist path, which you may have some appreciation of already, I assume, then otherwise you wouldn't ask the question. So I assume you've had some faith, some interest, but you set that aside. It means you're going to pursue something much more worldly, which is actually going to accumulate probably more, ultimately more stress, more worry, more fear, more greed, more anger, more delusion. And your time to practice the Buddhist path and get back to that which you probably realize is good for you is going to be more and more limited, because we're getting older every day. So time is running out. So one good reflection is reflect on impermanence and death. I'm not going to be here forever. If I don't get up and do my practice today, when am I going to do it? Because sooner or later the chance will be gone. So reflect on impermanence and the uncertainty of life. You don't know how long you've got. The Buddhists reflection is life is like it's your good fortune, your good karma to be born as a human, to have your health, to have energy, to have opportunity to hear Dhamma, practice the Dhamma. So when you turn your back on that, you go the way of the world and just sensual indulgence or self-harm in one way or another, you're turning your back on your own good fortune, either through delusion or complacency, wrong views. Of course, this happens, and we can lose our way in the world. But try and pause and say, well, what am I doing here? I've had this good fortune to meet the Buddhist teachings, to be a healthy human being. If you're living, I don't know where you live, but if you live in a country where you have enough food to eat, you've got a place to live, you've got the basic necessities of life already sorted out, then to turn your back on that and just pursue more material happiness, which of course you can do. It's a shame, and you won't be able to do that forever. And of course, your merit is running out as you turn your back on practicing the Dhamma. Your opportunities are running out, and then of course, like money in the bank, it runs out. The more you use it, it runs out. If you're not putting more money in the bank, you're not making more good karma, well, the future is looking bleak, isn't it? And eventually we're going to die, and who knows what happens after you die, where you'll be, whether you have the opportunity again. If you keep turning your mind away from the Dhamma, then eventually there'll be nothing left to pull you back to the Dhamma. You go so far away you can't come back. And then you're lost, like floating around in the universe. Who knows where you'll land? It may not be so pleasant. So don't waste it, don't squander your opportunity to keep reflecting on impermanence. This is my chance and I don't know how long I've got. Reflect on the dangers of losing touch with the Dhamma, not keeping sila, not listening to the Dhamma, not understanding the Dhamma, not working to free your mind from stress and suffering. There's danger in that. Reflect on that. One thing that brings up more energy and heedfulness in the practice is associating with those who do practice. So coming back to the Dhamma often comes through listening to the Dhamma, going to find teachers, practitioners, who will help us to remind us of the benefits of practicing the Dhamma. You see it, you hear it, then you maybe get re-inspired to carry on practicing. That's why, one reason why the Buddha encourages us to practice dana through our life, because dana links you to the Sangha. The Sangha is a field of merit, so you come back to offering to the Sangha, helping Sangha, listening to their teachings, being around them. That boosts your practice, boosts your faith, helps you to get through those periods when your mind is turning away from the Dhamma. So those are just a few thoughts on how not to stray from the Dhamma. So that ends the questions tonight, so I'll leave it there.
Sadhu, 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 sadhu.